time, my good friend Mike Shoesmith, who is the executive editor of PNN News and Ministry Network and has been with me from the beginning, our correspondent from Canada, and so Mike Shoesmith, it's good to have you with us. Listen, it's my understanding that there's some protest going on in South Korea that are just going crazy. They're exploding. And I don't think our audience is going to believe what this is about, but you're ready to report on that. This is amazing.
I heard this happening live, being reported on the BBC today. In fact, girls in South Korea are protesting. They're not protesting Donald Trump. They're not protesting North Korea, the nukes or the talks or anything else. What they're protesting is this culture of men sneaking spy cameras into public dressing rooms and recording the girls in various stages of undress and then posting said videos to the internet. Yeah. This is what they're protesting over there, Carl. And I heard some of these protesters, and they're saying, look, we're not just that these people can just put, and the cops, they're trying to crack down on this. They're going into these places and trying to find. They can't find any of these cameras, Carl.
Uh-huh.
These guys have gotten so good at hiding and then retrieving these cameras. The cops have not been able to find a single camera as evidence that anyone is doing that. Wow. But these girls, they're seeing their own images up on the internet, on these porn sites. They're saying, how in the world did my body get up on this website? Well, guys are sneaking these cameras in, retrieving them 10, 15 minutes later, posting the images to the internet, okay? Now, the reason I know this isn't smut radio. I didn't bring this story to your audience just to be salacious. The reason I bring it to you is because these protesters are saying in front of government offices, listen, we're not just made out of meat, that these guys can just take our images and post them on the internet and make money. We're not just made out of meat. And Carl, honest to God, my jaw just dropped. Why? Okay, you're going to protest the government because they're not doing enough to catch these guys. Why don't you go protest the universities for teaching these guys that you are made out of meat?
Yeah.
That you crawled out of the primordial slime billions of years ago, and now you, according to Richard Dawkins and David Suzuki, you are meat. You are an animal made out of meat. That is all you are. That's all you will ever be.
And let me
Why don't you direct your protest at the people from whence this ideology comes from?
Yeah, and let me add this. You are accidental meat. In other words, there was no rhyme or reason. It was just a cosmic explosion that just happened to happen millions and millions and millions of years ago and set everything, billions of years ago, set everything in motion. And millions of years ago, the meat kept evolving into you, and now who you are. So who are you to be mad because somebody wants to look at your body? What difference does it make? What difference does it make?
What difference does it make? Right. Well, David Suzuki takes it one step further and says that human beings are just maggots on the earth. That's all they are. That's what David Suzuki. So this is what the evolution community actually teaches these young. After generations of teaching young men that women are just animals made out of meat and that's all they are. Why are these girls surprised that this is happening, A? And B, if you really are enraged about it, don't direct it at the government to send more cops into the dressing rooms. Direct it at your professors for teaching this stuff. This is the result of generations of teaching children that they're just animals and maggots made out of meat, and that's all they'll ever be. And the atheist community teaches and treats women this way. Lawrence Krauss was recently charged with sexual harassment against women, because after all, they're just animals made out of meat. Dan Barker said in an interview that, if aliens came down and said, I have to rape little girls in order to save humanity, I'll gladly do it. And because guess what? The little girls are just animals made out of meat. Richard Carrier was recently banned. Richard Carrier, I actually debated him in an online forum when he was a PhD candidate at Columbia. He was recently banned from atheist conventions because of the way he was treating the women after the conventions. In the bars and in the hotels where they have these conventions, he was sexually assaulting these women in these places. And Richard Carrier has now been banned from these atheist conferences. Yeah. So this whole ideology of women being outraged that men would dare to put cameras. You know what? It's just National Geographic. That's all it is. You know, the photographers and the videographers at National Geographic, they go into the jungles and they set up their cameras to take video footage of the animals that are running around Africa and wherever. I mean, this is just National Geographic in the dressing rooms, in the public dressing rooms. That's all it is, according to the atheist community and the evolutionists who are teaching the atheist creation myth. That's all. It's just National Geographic in the dressing room. That's all we have going on here.
And you know, Mike, I said many, many years ago, even before I was on radio, I kept saying it from the pulpit, and then of course came the radio program many years ago, and then of course the internet age has boomed, and you and I have been together in ministry now for years, and we've been screaming this, and that is the foundational platform of almost all of the filth and wickedness that's consuming our planet, especially now with the proliferation of it through internet technologies. And by the way, the internet's got a lot of good things. I'm not trashing the internet, but the problem is now we have instantaneous communication, information of ideas and philosophies. The foundational platform of filth and evil is the pseudoscience, the government welfare science called evolution, where we teach our kids for generations that there is no God, there is no accountability, there is no eternal accountability. We do not have purpose. We do not have rhyme and reason other than what we might give it or what the government tells us it is, because there is no God. The Bible's a lie. Jesus is a lie. Everything is a lie except for the fact that you're just a piece of accidental meat. Now, once that has entrenched itself in a culture, and generation after generation after generation grows up, you wind up with a world like we have now and sinking down this funnel of cesspool stuff, because now it's okay to reach in a womb and pull out a baby and throw it in a trash can. It's just a piece of meat, and it's interfering with our life. It's okay to have sex any way you want, with whoever you want, and call marriage whatever you want, because we're just pieces of meat. We're animals. There's no God. There's no eternal accountability. It's okay to bomb your mind with drugs and alcohol and whatever, because it doesn't matter. There's no accountability, and we're just here for a few years, and we're just a cosmic accident. Don't you agree, Mike? I mean, that's the foundational platform for the filth that is consuming our world.
Well, that's exactly right. And people might be screaming at their radios right now saying, well, what about in the Roman Catholic Church, all the sexual abuse happening there? Well, of course, my son just finished up 15 years of the Roman Catholic school system, because in Canada, the only thing that remotely resembles a Christian education is is the Roman Catholic school system, and that is the official religion in Canada. And so, at least the name of Jesus can be spoken there, but that's basically where the line is drawn with them. Because, and I spent 9 years in the Roman Catholic school system. In the Roman Catholic school system, they accept the atheist creation myth of evolution as scientific fact.
Yeah.
So there is a demonic reality that the Roman Catholic system has allowed to permeate them. And it all boils down to that the Catholics were so embarrassed by what they did to Galileo that now they just accept everything that the so-called scientists, pseudo or otherwise, try and shove down humanity's throat, because they just don't want to put up a fight anymore because they were so wrong about Galileo. So, but the Roman Catholics, yes, of course, they've allowed evolution to creep into their worldview, and so now they have a bunch of priests going around abusing people, and they're trying hard to get a handle on that. But they've allowed that demonic theology to permeate their system as well. So I have a message for the girls in South Korea, Carl, and hopefully you will echo this with me. You're absolutely right. You're not animals just made out of meat, and you should not be treated this way. Men should not be allowed to infiltrate your dressing rooms and put up cameras and put your images on these smut websites. Men should not be allowed to do that, but you have got to go to the source. You have got to go to these professors, these universities, and say, look, you have got to stop teaching these young men that we are just animals made out of meat. You have got to teach them that we are created by a creator with transcendental value that is worthy of protections and dignity. And that's the message we have for the South Korean girls. Protect yourselves. Go after this with full vim and vigor. but go after the source. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and you and I spend a lot of our ministry time tearing to pieces the foundational fibers that are not held together very tightly of the whole pseudoscience of evolution. It truly is welfare science. We say that all the time. Explain to the audience
Right.
what we mean by that, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back with some more stuff. But to explain to the audience about the pseudoscience of evolution being welfare science.
Well, welfare science, I believe that term was coined by us on Freedom Friday, welfare science, in so much as all of their funding comes from government. And anybody that gets any funding from government is on a form of welfare. And if you have a department dedicated to writing grants in order to get money from Carl Gallups and Mike Shoesmith, and that's welfare science, folks. And that's what the global warming hoax is all about, climate change hoax, evolution hoax, all of this stuff that doesn't benefit humanity
Right.
in a real, tangible sense has to get government grants, and that's welfare science.
And there you go.
What it is.
And listen, you said a mouthful. This could be another entire show. The pseudoscience of evolution has not benefited society one iota. There's nothing. They've not invented anything that has brought great change to our culture, that has alleviated suffering, that has brought a dignity of life or a better life. Nothing. There's nothing that has come out of 100 and something years of this pseudoscience of welfare science, government-funded, school-propagated, public school-propagated lie. It's pseudo-scientific, and it produces nothing. It has benefited our culture with nothing.
Exactly right, and even they can't seem to nail down all the fine points of their own theory. I mean, it bounces around more than a cocktail waitress at a Shriners convention lately, and we've talked about that at great length. That even their own theory it's evolving more than these Mount Everest climbers who at the end of several climbs, they don't need supplemental oxygen anymore. The theory of evolution evolves more than those guys do. I mean,
it's
you
unbelievable.
can't even keep up with it anymore.
It's unbelievable. You and I, it seems like every other week we're doing a show on, wow, this changes everything, and that comes out of their own headlines. It's unbelievable. Listen, I'm hearing the music. Let's take a time out. When we come back, we're going to talk about the shootings in Toronto and what your so-called conservative mayor has said about it. That'll be important.
Yeah,
all right, folks, we'll be right back in just a moment. See, this is why you listen to Freedom Friday. A cocktail waitress bouncing around at a Shriners convention. Oh, my gosh. That's Canada, y'all. Hey, it's good to have you with us. Don't go anywhere. Give us 2.5 minutes. We'll be right back.
American Survival Wholesale is proud to sponsor this ministry and their efforts to shed light on the issues that face our nation. As a veteran and Christian-owned and operated company, we support the freedom to express these Christian principles. We all understand the importance of being prepared. After witnessing the devastation of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and the wildfires that affected so many, please support this ministry by clicking on the link below and check out the amazing alt media package for our listeners. Plus, if you use the promo code PNN Radio, that's PNN Radio, you will receive free shipping, a savings of up to $200. Just click on the link below, but please do it today. Your support means so much to this channel.